Welcome viewers, we have the latest updates about the war in Ethiopia. First of all, we'll update you about heavy fighting has erupted on two simultaneous fronts, Shirena in Western Tigray and the Ethiopia-Sudan border in Wilkate. Secondly, about the Tigray Regional Administration has officially announced that the Ethiopian government has launched a heavy war against Tigray. After that, about the Ethiopia-Sudan border. And in last, about the strategic picture, what the Ethiopian National Defense Force is trying to achieve on these fronts, and what Tigray forces had already put in place before the fighting began. This is a rapidly evolving situation. What we report is based on the latest available information, which is changing by the hour. Viewers, the fighting began early this morning, and it began on two fronts at the same time. The first front, the Shirena area in Western Tigray. Shirena is a border location in the Western Tigray zone of Ethiopia near Sudan. Shirena sits close to the Ethiopia-Sudan border. This location has appeared repeatedly in our reporting because of the significant military buildup that has taken place there. Tigray People Liberation Front's 13th Army has been positioned in this area, replacing the 70th Army, which was redeployed toward the Blue Nile region of Sudan in recent weeks as part of the broader regional military alignment. The fighting in Shirena began with bombing and heavy firearms. Reports describe the sounds of heavy weapons from both sides, artillery, heavy machine guns, and explosions that have been heard across the area. The second front, the Wilkate area along the Ethiopia-Sudan border, the politically sensitive Western Tigray territory, whose status has been one of the central unresolved disputes since the Pretoria Agreement. Fighting has also erupted in the Dima and Beka areas of Western Tigray, additional locations where heavy weapons are being heard. Two fronts, both active, both with heavy weapons, both starting within hours of each other. This is not coincidence. This level of simultaneous activation across geographically separate areas, Shirena, Wilkate, Dima, Beka, suggests coordinated military action rather than spontaneous local clashes. Neither the Ethiopian federal government nor the Tigray People Liberation Front had issued a comprehensive official statement at the time this report was being prepared. Both sides are in the early stages of managing their communications around what is happening on the ground. The Tigray Regional Administration, the government installed by the Tigray People Liberation Front after its reinstatement on May 5th, has issued a direct and unambiguous statement. The Ethiopian government has started a heavy war against Tigray. That is the official position of the Tigray administration. Not clashes, not incidents, war, heavy war, initiated by the Ethiopian government. The Tigray People Liberation Front has separately announced that war has started in the Western Tigray region, specifically referencing the Shirena direction, where the sounds of weapons and heavy power are being heard. These are not reactive statements made in confusion. They are formal declarations. The Tigray administration is placing the responsibility for the initiation of this conflict firmly on the Ethiopian government. From the resistance perspective, this is exactly what Tigray People Liberation Front leaders have been warning about in every public forum over the past months. In Mekele, in Adigrat, in Shirena itself, they told their people that the federal government would initiate aggression, that Abiy Ahmed's regime would not offer peace because it has never intended to, that the only response was to be ready. And this morning, the readiness is being tested. Tigray People Liberation Front's positioning of the 13th Army in the Shirena area, replacing the 70th Army that moved to Sudan, was not accidental. It was preparation. The question of who fired first will be debated, but the question of who was prepared is clearer. Now to the Ethiopia-Sudan border dimension of this morning's fighting, because it adds a critical layer of complexity. In the Lugdi area on the Ethiopia-Sudan frontier, a separate but related confrontation erupted. According to reports reaching us, the immediate trigger was the capture of 4 Sudanese soldiers by the Ethiopian military. These soldiers had reportedly crossed the border into Ethiopian territory. Following their capture, the confrontation between the two sides escalated. Heavy weapons were brought to bear on both sides. The fighting in the Lugdi area is ongoing. This matters because it introduces a direct Ethiopia-Sudan dimension to what is already a multi-front confrontation. We have reported in previous updates that Ethiopia's relationship with Sudan has become increasingly complicated, with Addis Ababa accused of allowing Rapid Support Force forces to use Ethiopian territory for operations in Sudan's Blue Nile region, and with Sudan's military having retaken Kurmuk and accusing Ethiopia of backing the Rapid Support Force. If Sudan and Tigray People Liberation Front are operating in coordination, as the broader SEMDO alignment has suggested, then the Lugdi incident and the Shirena fighting may be two parts of the same coordinated pressure on the Ethiopian National Defense Forces Western Front. It is important to state clearly at this stage, there is no confirmed evidence of direct Sudanese military participation in the Western Tigray fighting. There is no confirmed evidence of direct Eritrean military involvement on the Shirena front either. But the proximity, Shirena, Wilkite, and the Sudan border, all within the same regional corridor, means that the potential for any of these actors to be drawn indirectly is very real and very close. Now let us analyze what the Ethiopian National Defense Force appears to be attempting on these fronts, because understanding the Ethiopian National Defense Force's objective helps explain what this fight is really about. On the Shirena fronts, the Ethiopian National Defense Force's operation appears aimed at two things. First, disrupting Tigray military positions that had been built up in the border zone in recent weeks. We have reported on those buildups the redeployment of armies, the arrival of newly trained fighters, the reorganization of units across Raya and Western Tigray. The Ethiopian National Defense Force is now attempting to strike those positions before they become a fully established and operational forward line. Second, preventing Tigray People Liberation Front forces from strengthening their presence, specifically in the Wukate area, and limiting any Tigray Defense Force movement toward positions in that zone. Wukate is the politically contested territory that the Tigray People Liberation Front has demanded be returned under the Pretoria Agreement. If Tigray People Liberation Front forces gain a stronger operational foothold in Wukate, the political and military pressure on the federal government intensifies dramatically. So the Ethiopian National Defense Force launched its operation with these objectives. But here is what the Ethiopian National Defense Force encountered. Tigray People Liberation Front forces had already built up their troops in the region before the fighting began. The 13th Army was in position in the Shirena area. The deployment we described in previous videos, fresh recruits, reorganized divisions, air defense installations, underground command meetings, was not theoretical preparation for a hypothetical future war. It was preparation for this morning. Who fired first remains genuinely unclear from the information available to us. Both sides are making competing claims. What is clear is that neither side was caught unprepared. Both had positioned forces. Both knew the other was present. And at some point this morning, the weapons started firing. Whether this remains a localized confrontation on the Shirena and Woolkate fronts, or whether it expands to the Raya corridor, the Amhara front, and potentially draws in Eritrea and Sudan directly, will be determined by decisions being made right now by commanders on all sides. The next hours are critical. The next days may define what this conflict becomes. This is a breaking situation. We want to be honest with you about what we know and what we do not know. What we know: heavy fighting has erupted on two simultaneous fronts, Shirena in Western Tigray and the Ethiopia-Sudan border zone. The Tigray Regional Administration has formally declared that the Ethiopian government has started a heavy war against Tigray. Tigray People Liberation Front has confirmed fighting in Western Tigray. The sounds of heavy weapons have been heard across Shirena, Woolkate, Dema, and Beka. What we do not know with certainty: who fired the first shot, whether Eritrea or Sudan are directly involved in the fighting at this stage, whether this remains localized or expands to other fronts. What we are watching: the Raya corridor, where Tigray People Liberation Front armies were deployed, the Amhara front, where Fano forces are active, the Ethiopia-Sudan border, where the Lugdi incident has added a cross-border dimension. This is the moment that months of preparation, warning, and mobilization have been building toward. The Tigray People Liberation Front warned its people. Fano warned its people. And this morning, the warning became reality. We will update you as verified information reaches us. Stay connected, stay informed, like, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell. Because updates on this situation may come at any hour.